guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, business, politics, finance, current events, entertainment, and most importantly, I have been covering lots and lots of stimulus news, as my regular audience knows. However, this video is going to be a little bit different in tone and in nature. I've been kind of wanting to put my little chubby toes into the political analysis pond, and I feel like that's what I've been doing anyways with all this stimulus stuff. Hold on, let me adjust my mic. Okay. Is that too loud, guys? So I've already been doing this anyway because unfortunately stimulus has become super politicized, as you guys know, because as I've said, this is the stimulus election coming up, which is no fun for any of us. However, I saw this video, and actually I'd seen it a few days ago, and I took even more time than I typically do to research to really get things together with this, because this really bothered me. There is a white woman, she is a comedian, and she is very wealthy, who has put a black man on blast because he said that he supported Donald Trump. And this is upsetting. Let me first back up. If you guys don't know, my audience, my regular audience knows, but if you don't and you're new here, hi y'all, hi, nice to have you. I hate both sides of the political spectrum. I know, it's hard to conceive that somebody can just be middle of the road and see them all for the pieces of crap that they are, but that's who I am. I hate Republicans, I hate Democrats. I feel like almost none of them are stepping up to truly help us. So understand, I don't have a political agenda with what I'm going to tell you. I'm coming at this with just common sense and logic. And I think some of the common sense and logic that I have, that I know other people have, there's a big growing silent majority that think similar. We understand this, the game is all rigged. This stuff is BS. But a lot of us are getting really tired of certain things and certain hypocrisies. And this really bothered me because holy mother of prejudice. Now, please understand, I'm going to bleep out what I call the R word. The R word, it's a term that YouTube can get sometimes a little bit upset if you use. It's a term that basically refers to a minority group that may be finding oppression in society or having things unfair. So when I say the R word, please infer what I mean. The R-A, C word, and then maybe an I, S-M, or S-T, depending on which context I'm putting the vocabulary together in the sentence. But this is what I want to talk about, and this is very upsetting because even though I can't stand both sides of the government, I don't feel like any of them have our best interests. You have the Republicans who are just blatantly straightforward evil, but at least you get what you get. And then you have the Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi, who slither around like snakes and lie, and they're manipulative about how evil they are. And I can't get behind any of that. It makes me furious. So what am I talking about? What am I going into? So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I have a really big breakdown of this. It seems like among the left, and I want you guys to understand, when I say the left, or I say the right, or Republicans or Democrats, I'm not talking about you fine people watching. I'm not talking about most of you that might lean one way or another, because most of you, I could sit down, have a conversation with. You could have a beer. I can't, because I got physical issues. I can have some water, right? Maybe some tea if it's a good day for me. And we could have common sense talks and come to agreements and conclusions and see things eye to eye. And at the end of the day, we'd probably find, even though we might have different flavors or viewpoints, we all kind of want the same thing: health, wealth, safety, right? And chances to grow and to prosper for ourselves and our family. And so I just want you guys to please be aware when I'm talking about these people at the top, or when I'm talking about the Democrats and Republicans, I'm talking about the people at the top, the crazy narcissists and sociopaths, or the people that swing wildly one way or the other. I'm not talking about most of you, so keep that in mind. And the other thing is, I'm going to ask you guys, please watch this video with an open mind. I know so many people are going to look at the title or look at the thumbnail and draw conclusions. And although I understand that, please just make sure and watch the content, because I think it's going to make a lot of sense. And remember, I'm not coming at this from an angle. I'm just coming at this telling you what it looks like for somebody who hates all of these people. And I know, and I've had a lot of people accuse me of maybe being pro-Trump or a closet Republican. I'm not. There are some things I lean Republican on, and there's some things I'm super liberal on. What I have said several times is I'll tell you what I think. I think there's a very good chance again that Donald Trump is going to win. And it's because of some of what I'm going to outline. Not because I want him to, not because I think he's the best person for the job, because he's not. He's not the best person for the job. The problem is they're also evil in the government. A lot of people in the middle, like me, look at the situation and go, well, Trump's a wild card. I guess we'll take that, knowing he's not perfect, but hoping he's at least not sniffing on things that he shouldn't, or people, or children. Maybe Jeff in his airplane. And to me, it's both sides. Both sides when I say that. So I know it's a little bit of a long intro, but I'll kind of get into this. And also, guys, if you like videos like this and you want to see more content like this, please help me out by liking the video, subscribing, hitting notifications if you haven't, and leaving a comment and sharing our video. Also, I give away a $100 gift card. I'm giving that away in this video. So to be able to do that, same thing. You just have to be eligible. Like the video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, and you're eligible. That's all you have to do. The more comments you leave, the more chances you have of winning that gift card. I announce winners on Monday, and make sure and do it for every other video too. Good luck. Okay, so let me break this down. So Chelsea Handler. Y'all know Chelsea Handler? She's a comedian. She had her own show on E! She had a show on Netflix that got canceled after like 2 or 3 seasons. And Chelsea Handler is somebody, she is part of what I call like the liberal left in Hollywood. Again, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but the people in Hollywood, most of them swing liberal. If you're some type of Republican, you are kicked out. And it's so frustrating because this is another thing. I'm 30, I think I'm 36. I forgot the other day how old I was. I was like, wait, am I 36 or 37? I just know I'm old. I'm close to 40. And when I was younger, it was a real switch between the parties. It was like the Democrats were really here on behalf of the people, and they were fighting for like gay rights for LGBT. And I was super into that because I was like, wow, human beings should be able to have the rights they need to have. And the Republicans were these people screaming how everyone and everything is evil, and let's put God and religion back into everything. And then we'd find behind closed doors, they're all closet homosexuals. And that's not an insult. It's not meant to be, because being homosexual or bisexual should not be an insult, right? But that's what it was. And sometimes they're doing it with underage people. And it's weird because all of a sudden it seems like we've had this switch where it's now common knowledge that the people in Hollywood and the people at the very top of the game with finances in this country, not all of them, but a large majority, are doing all kinds of awful things to women and children and basically selling people. I can't really go into detail because YouTube will get upset, but please infer. And it's all sides. It's not just the left, it's both sides. But the left is really prevalent about it. They're really pushing these narratives with it, as a lot of us know. And I think a lot of us are sick and flipping tired of Hollywood elitists who take this very liberal stance, who a lot of them have literally screwed their way to the top, subjecting themselves and other people to horrific horror acts to be able to get where they need to be. And they have stood by and watched this happen, sometimes by force, to other women, other men, and other children, knowing what goes on behind the scenes. And then they have the nerve to stand up and act morally superior and tell us all how we should live and how we should think. And I'm sorry, can we just call something out? And look, I'm a singer and I'm an entertainer. I mean, I haven't done it for a while and I'm not looking to do it anytime soon, but I was a professional. So I say this with compassion, but I always find it funny when I see these actors or actresses go up there and they want to give this morally impassioned speech, especially actresses. I'm like, you effed your way into this business. You've taken paychecks from people that you know do horrible things to children, and you are covering up for it. And yet you want to stand up here and you want to tell us what the right way to live is, when your job is getting paid a ton of money to keep your mouth shut about what you see, to drive narratives in the media to try to brainwash us all. And what do you do for a living? What is acting? You play make-believe. Oh, that's so amazing. And look, I'm not trying to knock people who are actors or actresses. If that's your crap, if that's what you love, go for it, right? Just like singing. The evil stuff happens with the music industry too. Oh, we know that, right? So please understand that a lot of what I'm saying comes from the part of all of us. And I think almost no matter what side you're on, we're tired of this Hollywood elitist BS. And that's exactly, in my opinion, where we come to with Chelsea Handler. So Chelsea Handler is a comedian. She had a show on E! And she was known for dating, well, not just known, but one of the things she did was she dated a guy named 50 Cent. He's a rapper. He's an African-American Black rapper. And I hope I'm saying the right terms, because I know now a lot of people like to say people of color, but I know people who get offended by that because it sounds too much like color and then people with a D I'm leaving off. So I'm trying to be very, very sensitive to everybody. So I hope I'm not I hope I'm not being offensive in this. And it just recently came out. And not only did it come out, she doubled and tripled down on this. And I'm so mad because this seems to be a pervasive theme in our society right now with voting. Apparently, 50 Cent had come out and said he's not voting for Joe Biden because of his crazy tax plan, because Joe Biden will tax up to 60% for some people if they reach a certain threshold of their taxes, which we'll get into. And then he says, I don't want to go from 50 cent to 20 cent, which I think it's kind of funny. It's kind of cute. And she massively called him out. But one of the beautiful things that she said in her exchanges with them are, you are not allowed to vote for Donald Trump because you're black. Yes. So a white woman who's incredibly wealthy, who, now I'm talking about from the standards of the left, okay? Who is coming from, and by the way, this woman always screams about white privilege and her privilege and this, that, and the other. She's real big and again, pushing these liberal ideologies. You have the audacity and the nerve to tell any minority or person of color who they can and can't vote for based off of their skin color. I'll tell you right now, I don't care whether or not she said you have to vote for Trump or you have to vote for Biden or you can't. That is the height of the R word, in my opinion. And to me, it just shows this narrative that's being pushed by the liberal left elite, where they are putting out there and they are trying to put this narrative out there that they're for the best of the African-American community. And then they do stuff like this. And it's weird because a lot of this stuff where the white privilege stuff comes from white people with privilege, shoving this down people's throats and acting like they know what's best for black people. Has the world gone crazy? So before I get into this too much, because it's really, and if you see my reaction, I'm very upset about this because I don't like this happening to anybody. It's so insulting, but we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive into this whole thing. That's why this video is a bit long, but I wanted to really put this together. So I want to go ahead and pull up, first, she talked about it on Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that clip and you can hear what she said. Let's take a listen.
You heard about my ex-boyfriend, right? 50 Cent and his support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, what's going on between you? I saw your tweets and I go, wait, what's happening? Because you said he was your favorite ex-boyfriend and then what does he do? He's supporting Trump?
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I am willing to, seal the deal in more ways than one if he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump. I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about.
Then she goes on my favorite show, The View. I roll my eyes when I say that because I can't stand those cocky, arrogant women who all scream how horrible Donald Trump is when they know that the person they're backing is a little bit of a kitty sniffer, possibly. Oh, y'all, it makes me mad. Just the hypocrisy. And they as well try to act like they're so woke and anti-racism and this, that, and the other. And then you have Joy Behar, who's been in blackface, and you have Whoopi, who this is weird. In like the late 80s, 90s, she dated Ted Danson. I just say it's weird because in my mind, it doesn't seem like their personalities would mesh, but I guess they did, and good for them. And we don't really know these people, but she did some sort of gala with Ted Danson, and she wrote a whole script for him hosting where he's up there in blackface. So we're not talking about like just darkening your skin. We're talking about blackface, what it used to be, what is so highly offensive. So these people, these women who are the moral pillars of society who say orange man so bad, which by the way, you're anti-racist, but you're constantly commenting on Donald Trump's skin color. And I know the definition of racism has changed where it's more about systemic oppression, this, that, and the other. I get that. I'm just saying it's still hypocritical. I can't stand these women. But then she goes on The View and doubles and triples down and admits some real weird stuff. Let's take a look.
Please welcome back Chelsea Handler. Girl, I've made those calls. I know exactly that hotel. Joy. It's on you, Joy.
So, So, Chelsea, the election is less than a week away. Be afraid. Be very afraid. And you've been very outspoken about it, urging everyone, to get out and vote. So how are you feeling about the election right now? About election night, actually? Are you going to be able to do it without 10 martinis, for example?
Well, no, obviously not, Joy. I mean, that's not going to happen. I have lots of edibles and cannabis at my house. And I expect a full stream of, well, I won't finish that sentence because it's morning TV. But I will say that I just want to encourage all people who have not voted yet to try to vote early, because we know the Republicans are going to pull some bull on election day and try to not have all the votes counted. So the earlier you get in your vote, the better we are. So if you're a mail-in ballot, please go and drop it off. Do not mail it now. It's too late to mail. Please go in and drop off your ballots.
Chelsea, last week, 50 Cent tweeted that he was voting for Trump because he discovered he would have to pay more taxes under a Biden administration. And you called him out and said he was now your, least favorite ex-boyfriend. And I don't know where I've been because I didn't even realize that you had dated. But your back and forth with him on Twitter went really viral. And he seems to have backtracked on his support for Trump now. Have you spoken to him about this? Because it really made a lot of news.
Yes, and I understand. He called me the other night, 2 nights ago. We spoke for about a half an hour, and I texted him, I DM'd him, and I said, can you please call me about this? I don't want this to be public. I really want to know if you're serious about supporting Trump. And so he called me, and he wasn't serious. He was just screwing around on his Twitter. He is supporting Joe Biden. He made that very clear to me. And he said that I was able to tell you girls and tell any other press I did that he is supporting Joe Biden. So, and then we talked and, had a cute little conversation. I did promise, to pay his taxes. And then I found out it's illegal to pay somebody to vote for your candidate.
Yes, it is.
So I offered him another form of payment, and we'll see if he takes me up on it. But I don't have to pay him. He's already a Biden supporter. I did have a conversation with Cuomo a few months ago, and I did ask him out on a date. And he did say yes, and then I never heard from him.
Oh.
So you'd like us to...
Now your gas card is full, though, because now you've got to do an in-kind donation to Fitty. So, I mean, look, you sound like you're going to be very busy here saving the Republic. And please tell Fitty that if he's going to be joking around about supporting Trump, he might want to wait till after the elections to tweet out such jokes, because they ain't very funny right now. But anyways, let's talk about something that is funny.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying very well. I get what you're saying. I also have been through therapy for a long time. I'm not anymore, but I was for a long time. And I'm curious, how specifically did therapy help you to deal with your rage against Trump? Because I could use a few tips.
Oh, my God. I would walk in some of the airports. I would go to the first class lounge, check in, then run over to the Fox News section and start assaulting people. Like I would go in and be like, yeah, right. And then I'd run out, and then I'd run back in and go, do you want your daughter to have rights because she won't? And then I'd run out. Then I'd run back into the Fox News section and go, are you still a... I mean, I was out of my tree, and my level of outrage was just not, I couldn't handle it anymore. I was just, my veins were throbbing, and I wanted to learn how to talk to Trump supporters or conservatives at this time in 2016. Now Trump supporters, I don't have anything to say to them anymore at this juncture, but I wanted to be able to have the conversations that I was being prevented from having because of my anger. So that really was the way to get into therapy. And then I realized my anger, yes, I hate Donald Trump. Yes, I find him to be a white supremacist, and I find all of his policies to be abhorrent.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack. I want to unpack some of the facts first. She said that what 50 Cent said about the 62%, that they could be charged up to 62% is wrong. She said that was wrong and scolded 50 Cent because how dare you? You know, and the way it comes across to me is like, oh, he's an ignorant black rapper. Screw you. Screw anybody. Like, first of all, okay, in being a performer and entertainer, I've done a little bit of rapping. Nothing that would it make me a rapper, okay? But like, I can rap Eminem's Rap God. I'm pretty good at it. I'm decent. I can do it fairly quickly because y'all know I can talk quickly. I will tell you, one of the hardest things I've ever done was learning that song and performing it. Hardest thing. And I've been a singer most of my life. Classically trained professional singer. And that was one of the hardest things. I had to memorize 7 minutes of just nonstop rhythmic, lyrical poetry. It is an extreme art. I don't care who you are or even what you're rapping about. That is tough. Like a song is, it's a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And it's, something that gets stuck in your head. This is 7 minutes of just of just constant words coming at you. To me, it's way more difficult than singing. So you have to be incredibly intelligent, in my opinion, to be any type of rapper. I don't care what it is, just because I've gone through the process of having to perform it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm out of my league. and again, it's just, I did that one song and I've done a few others. I'm not a rapper by any means. Good Lord. No, I wouldn't put myself in any types of categories like that. But I can appreciate the art form, and just to come at him like that is so disgusting. And on top of that, 50 Cent looks like he was right. So I want to go ahead and pull up the information for you guys so you know exactly what I'm talking about and you can see it for yourselves. So I want to go ahead and pull up, there are a couple things. I'm a little bit disorganized. Hold on, I've been doing so much research, y'all. I always have like 50,000 tabs. Sound off in the comments if you're one of the people like me that just has a ton of tabs open all the time. Okay, here we go. CNBC.com. This is an article. It says, Biden's tax plan could create a tax rate of as much as 62% for New Yorkers and Californians. Study shows. This was published October 19th, 2020 from CNBC. And they're pretty left-leaning, right? CNBC. And I'm assuming, again, an assumption that 50 Cent probably lives between LA and New York because most people of his status and his artistry, that's typically where they go back and forth for work. Now let's go down even further. Business Insider. This is October 20th. Biden's K-shaped tax plan. Earners under $400,000 could see tax cuts, but rates could spike to as high as 62% for rich Californians and New Yorkers. So that means if you made $400,000, then you would end up making less than $200,000. Look, I can understand wanting to tax the rich more. I get that. I'm fine with that. But unfortunately, in this day and age, even making $100,000 isn't a lot of money anymore, right? It's not like that's a ton of money. So I see that number as actually putting a burden on people. If it were in the million or the millions range, I would get it. But let me go ahead and read some of this information so you can have this. So I'm just going to read some bullet points. It says, Joe Biden's tax plan would see the highest earners in California and New York City paying as much as 62% in combined federal and state taxes, while top earners in New Jersey could face combined rate totaling over 60%. Top earners in New York State could pay slightly more than a 58% tax rate. These calculations from the Tax Foundation come as discussions related to tax on the wealthy have picked up steam, with the election now just 2 weeks away. An analysis in September by the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business's budget model concluded that households earning under $400,000 won't see their taxes increase under Biden's proposal. Hold on one second, y'all. I have to plug my computer in. There we go. But I mean, it's right here. Again, I'll read a little more. High income earners in states such as California and New York could be hit the hardest from Joe Biden's tax plan if he wins the race for the White House. Taxpayers making over $400,000 in California might have to pay as little as 62.6 combined in federal and state taxes, while top earners in New Jersey could face combined rate totaling over 60%, according to a study released on Tuesday by Jared Walczak. I think I'm saying that right? Of the Tax Foundation, a conservative-leaning think tank based in DC. Higher earners in nearby New York State could pay slightly more than a 58% tax rate. That mark for residents of New York City would reach more than 62%. So the fact that she said that he was wrong about that is wrong. He was right. Literally just per the two articles, businessinsider.com and CNBC, and these are from our last week to 2 weeks that these were released as the election is going on. So first of all, girl, you're gaslighting and lying to him about what he's even putting out there. But then, like I said, she goes a step further with these people on The View, and she says some real ridiculous things. But that was the first thing I wanted to point out. The fact is, your argument towards 50 Cent saying, well, first of all, you're wrong about the 62%. No, he's right. He's absolutely right. He's categorically right. Unless there's something I don't know or I don't see. And remember, my job is to cover this stuff all the time. It doesn't mean I can't mess up. So you're more than welcome to tell me. But I'm just looking at this and I'm just like, you are brainwashing him on lies while acting like you are morally superior and smarter than he is. But then let's go into the next comment. And this is one that just really drives me nuts. She goes in to say, you can't vote for Biden because you're black. And then you hear her go in and say how awful Trump is and how Trump and his supporters are the R word. Remember the word I can't use, right? However, let's take a look at the one they're really, really gunning for. Let's take a look at how liberal and progressive and woke Joe Biden is. Roll it, me.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact
they're going to put you all back in chains.
I want to come to you and talk to you about inequality in schools and race. In a conversation about how to deal with segregation in schools back in 1975, you told a reporter, I don't feel responsible for the sins of my father and grandfather. I feel responsible for what the situation is today, for the sins of my own generation, and I'll be damned if I feel responsible to pay for what happened 300 years ago. You said that some 40 years ago. But as you stand here tonight, what responsibility do you think that Americans need to take to repair the legacy of slavery in our country?
Look, there is institutional segregation in this country. And from the time I got involved, I started dealing with that. Redlining, banks, making sure that we are in a position where, look, we talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, the Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend from $15 to $45 billion a year. Give every single teacher a raise to the equal raise of getting out the $60,000 level. Number two, make sure that we bring in to help the teachers deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home, we have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are retired. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. They have every problem coming to them. We have to make sure that every single child does, in fact, have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of 2 United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then.
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well,
I
there
did
was
not
a
oppose
failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the '94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. And in fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now, not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct, but for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Mass incarceration has put hundreds of thousands behind bars for minor offenses. Joe Biden wrote those laws.
Every major crime bill that's come out of this Congress has had the name Joe Biden on that bill. We do everything but hang people for jaywalking in this bill.
Joe Biden's policies destroyed millions of black lives. Joe Biden may not remember, but we do.
Twitter, I was not out marching.
So he said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And then he told a group of black people, we're going to put you all back in chains. Right, because Donald Trump is the R word, not Joe Biden. Also, guys, poor kids are just as talented as white kids. What does that statement mean? Does he refer to poor kids as people who aren't white? Because that's not a crappy stereotype, is it? It's not kind of an R thing to say. In a
Institutional segregation in this country. And for the time I got involved, I started dealing with that. Redlining, banks, making sure that we are in a position where, look, you talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, the Title I schools,
And then, this is my favorite. He goes on, and he's done this so many times. He goes on to insinuate, we need to get social services. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I start laughing because it's so absurd and evil. Like, I get overwhelmed and I don't know what else to do. If that makes sense, like if I get really mad or really upset, I start giggling. You know, some people start crying. Like if they're mad, they're real pissed, they're crying, but it's not because they're, you know, weak. And nobody that, you know, cries because something happens is weak. I'm not insinuating that, but that's how it can be looked at in this society that we live in. But they're just really angry. It's their reaction. This is my reaction when I start to giggle. I can't believe the left is really getting behind this guy who we have videos of sniffing kids, and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. And then, well, don't vote for Donald Trump. You tell black people you're not allowed if you're black because he's racist. And then you have him saying we need social workers in the houses of African American families. And why is that? Because they don't know how to raise their kids right. We have to give them the tools. Apparently, black people are just too inherently stupid to know how to raise their children? Are you insane? How do you get behind this? How is it Donald Trump, who worded some statements very, very stupidly about the Mexican border, and I will never say he didn't, but he basically was trying to tell people there are a lot of issues down there with that situation because there's a lot of human trafficking and it gets very deadly for people. And that is all fact, right? He's just labeled one side and down the other. He's the R word. He's this, he's that. Joe Biden says this stuff and does this stuff and gets away with it. And on top of that, he wrote the 1994 crime bill that basically helped put us in what I call the modern day slavery system, AKA the prison system. To me, the prison system is just another form of getting free to cheap labor from minorities and made things incredibly harsh, which is what we just heard. That's what you were just exposed to. So again, you have to vote for Biden if you're black, because that's in your best interest. And then interesting, Kamala Harris calls him out on some of the stuff he's done when it comes to the very inappropriate things. And this is when they were battling to see who was actually going to get the VP spot. And listen to his answers. But then she teams up with him. The same person she knows has R-word rhetoric. The same person she knows does not apologize for the things he's said or done in this regard. She decides, you know what? I'm going to be his running mate. All full of crap. This is why I'm telling you I hate all of them. But as a minority or a black person, you don't have a choice but to vote for them because some rich white woman who screwed her way to the top, we're going to get in that in a minute, tells you who you're supposed to vote for based off of your skin color, because that's not the R word. Like, am I living in the Twilight Zone? Are we actually in the 20th century here? What is happening? Okay, so I wanted to give you guys a little brief overview of the fact that he's got to vote for Biden. He just has to vote for Biden because he's black. And why that might be a bit problematic among all the other things. But then I want to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive into Chelsea Handler, and then we're going to break down what she said. So Chelsea Handler is somebody who is a comedian, and she is a known alcoholic, and she has substance abuse issues. I'm not putting that out there to demean her or make fun of her. If she is not in that place anymore, God bless her. But from what I was reading, she got involved in what she was doing with stand-up because she came from a place of having substance abuse issues. And look, more power to her, right? However, there is more to it than that. So first of all, what she just said about her ex-boyfriend, her favorite ex-boyfriend, 50 Cent, I want to go in, because this really drives me nuts, and go a little bit in to some more of what she has said about 50 Cent. I have some notes here, because I actually really went into this. It makes me really, really irritated. So in 2010, rumors began flying, and this is when a Nikki Swift article that I got, that Chelsea Handler was dating rapper 50 Cent. 2 years later, the comedian confirmed that it was actually, they had been an item during an appearance on the Howard Stern show. She says, he's actually a lot different than you'd think. He's like a big blank teddy bear. It's a color. I don't want to say that, please infer. The fact that she could say it that way is already questionable. Just throw it out there. Handler said of their short-lived romance, I thought it was kind of amusing that I would even be with 50 Cent. I thought it was funny. It's fun for a little hookup, but it's never going to be anything serious. Let's break that down. He's actually a lot different than what you'd think. What did your stereotypes think he'd be, Chelsea? He's like a big blank teddy bear. Is that an appropriate way to describe somebody? Now, again, I thought it was kind of amusing they would even be with 50 Cent. I thought it was funny. So you had hookups with a guy because it was a joke, because you are so far above him that it's just funny that you would even be, and she says that I would even be with somebody like that. It's never going to be serious. Okay, I get it. Sometimes you have flings with people and you know it's not going to be serious, but the way that she put that on top of calling him the big blank bear, I'm sorry. How demeaning is that? How demeaning is that as a person? Just throw it out there. Just how demeaning does that come across? Again, but Orange Man bad. That's the stuff that drives me nuts. So, okay. Then I want to go over a couple other things with Chelsea. So this is a little bit of Chelsea for you. So it says, a source claims to our outlet, and this is more Nikki Swift, that a demo tape that Handler sent out to a bunch of talent agents and managers when she was getting started in hopes of landing on their radar. In fact, the insider pointed out that it was highly possible that most of the people who received that tape only watched the first few moments and missed the sex tape part altogether. Handler later addressed leaked footage during a monologue on her E! Talk show, Chelsea Lately. I would like to say to Radar Online, a thanks for ruining my surprise Christmas gift to my staff, she joked, adding via New York Daily News. Number 2, it was made as a joke. I put it on an audition tape for a comedy club because I'm a comedian, and I've been showing it at my birthday parties for freaking years. What this is back in 2010, Radar Online obtained Chelsea Handler's alleged graphic sex tape, which was reportedly made about 10 years back. According to the outlet, the tape begins with a fully clothed Handler performing her stand-up comedian act and then cuts to her appearing naked in bed with an unidentified man apparently doing the deed. The tape then cuts back to the comedy routine. Still, you're sending pornography to people, and you are the moral authority of our society, telling Black people how they need to vote based off of their skin color. Black people that you really don't talk very highly of anyways. He's your favorite ex-boyfriend that you really talk dismissive and flippantly about. Very, very interesting. Makes me sick. On top of that, guys, she actually got her start in the entertainment world with her show that she had, her long-running show, which, by the way, I liked it. I thought it was funny. There were a lot of funny parts to it. But she got her start by being with the president of the network. So she sent out sex tapes and screwed her way into her position. And funny enough, Joan Rivers a few years ago, God rest her soul, actually called her out for this behavior. Now, let's go into even more. It's not done. This is from March 3rd, 2014, Los Angeles. Comedian Chelsea Handler drew accusations of the R word after she was invited to take over the Huffington Post Twitter account during Sunday night's Oscars and repeatedly touted her upcoming book, You Gone to Be Kidding Me, whenever 12 Years a Slave received an award. In one tweet, she tweeted, congratulations, hashtag 12 Years a Slave, go to Africa or buy You Gone to Be Kidding Me. And You Gone to Be Kidding Me was, again, that was something that she had put out. It was a book. And then it says, hashtag ahead of the curve, hashtag Oscars. People responded via Twitter with words like disgraceful, offensive, and R word. Huffington Post Senior Executive Director Perry Dorset said the site was upfront about the Twitter feed takeover and has invited celebrities to do so in the past, adding, the views are theirs, not ours. Handler also took a swipe at Kenyan supporting actress winner Lupita Nyong'o, forgive me, I hope I said that right, tweeting, hashtag Angelina Jolie just filed adoption papers on Lupita, hashtag Oscars. So this woman who's made a docuseries and she's made television shows about how horrible white people are and all of our wonderful white privilege that we all live in. Remember, most of us don't have much money, if anything at all. Y'all know my situation. From this situation, turns around and does all of these things behind the scenes while telling us how R-word we are, and more importantly, telling Black people who they need to vote for. This is very, very frustrating. I don't care that it's Donald Trump. I don't care that she's against Donald Trump. If she wants to have, if she just wants to rage and rage and rage at him, that's her business, whatever, which we'll go into in a second. You don't get to tell any minority how they should vote, period. In fact, you don't get to tell any minority, Chelsea Handler, what to do. Even if you kind of look at them as a flippant little toy and somebody who is lesser than you, as you insinuated 50 Cent was. You don't get to do that, which drives me nuts. But I also want to get into a couple other things that I thought that were interesting. I would like to now read over exactly what she says and respond to it. And I have a transcript, but don't worry, it's not super long. I've tailored it down. So this is in the very first, it says, the first clip. you heard about my ex-boyfriend 50 Cent and his support of Donald Trump. That's what she says. And then you have, what's his name? He was in the first clip. He has a show. He seems like he's really nice, but he also seems like he's just super passive, like me kind of person. And you know what? I'll take somebody like that over just a blanket a-hole. Not Jimmy Kimmel. That is not who I'm thinking of. I don't know. Sound off in the comments who I'm referring to. So the guy says, I saw your tweet and I go, what happened? You said he was your favorite ex-boyfriend. And then what does he do? He supports Trump, but he says it like he's so surprised. And it's so obvious and frustrating watching all of these late night hosts just absolutely, oh, Trump's the most evil person. I'm like, you've had men that hurt women and children on your show repeatedly over the years, and your network supports it. You get paid by these people. Shut up and sit down. Just kind of like, it's kind of like to me when when Corey Feldman came out with his story and Barbara Walters scolded him on The View saying you're going to run an entire industry, meaning Hollywood, because of the things he's saying, because she's protecting her I'm going to call it the P word, her P word friends. Please infer. So then he says he doesn't want to pay 62% taxes because he does not want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump. And, I've already talked about this, and not to influence an entire swath of people who will listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. Well, Chelsea, when you slept around with the network top executive and you sent out porn tapes as audition, you were only worried about your pocketbook. And furthermore, you are lying to everybody when you say don't influence people based off of lies when you are knowingly lying. And furthermore, and this is again that liberal elitism where they're just huffing their own farts in Hollywood. Girl, do you really think at this point that you or any of the celebrities, we're just all so stupid that we worship you in your feet and we're just going to go, wow, if Chelsea Handler, the porn star, goes ahead and she does this, I must do what she says. We're not swayed anymore or disillusioned by the fact that you have celebrity, because what is the word celebrity? It just means celebrate. It means these are the people in society we are told to celebrate. That's really what this means. Doesn't mean you know jack crap about what you're talking about, because obviously with the tax plans, you don't. So you are gaslighting him and you are projecting onto him what you are doing. I'm so sorry. Do you really think you're that important that your voice or 50 Cent's voice is just going to really, somebody's going to go, wow, if 50 Cent or Chelsea Handler says this, well, I must do as they say. You're not that important. None of you are. I'm not. None of us are. Really irritates me, but they're on the war with fake news. Yet you throw it out there. So she says about his own personal pocketbook. Haven't heard anything back from him yet, and I'm willing to seal the deal. I'm in more ways than one, and these are sexual, double entendres she's making. If he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump, I'll go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about. So once again, because you lack the real talent to do what you want to do, you have to coerce somebody and manipulate them through sex. Because that's a quality that should be admired and you should tell us morally how to live. And look, if you are in the sex working industry or you do anything, I am not trying to judge you. I'm talking about her specifically and all of her actions, because I would think 8 times out of 10, the people in that industry don't necessarily either A, want to be in it, or B, think it's the best necessary solution, but it's one that they have at the moment. And some people genuinely like it, and more power to you if that's you. You do you, but you're not out here doing R-word things and manipulating people to vote for people who actually could be R-words. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to attack any one industry. I'm attacking her blatant hypocrisy while she's demeaning and putting this man down in a very R fashion. I hate saying R, guys, but I have to make the YouTube gods happy. So then my favorite person, Joy Behar. Oh, between Joy and Whoopi, I want to puke. Joy Behar says, Chelsea, election is less than a week away. Be afraid, be very afraid. And she says, outspoken people need to get out there and vote now. How are you feeling about the election or election night? Will you be able to do election night without 10 martinis? And she starts joking, well, that can't happen, Joy. I have a lot of edibles at my house. She says, I expect a full steam of, well, I won't finish that sentence because we're morning TV. I encourage all people who haven't voted yet to vote early. Well, I'm sorry, but you need to make sure not vote for Donald Trump or she will publicly bully you if you're a celebrity, because they have so much sway and influence, because we're so stupid. What would we do without their opinions of screwing their way to the top and all their political, financial information that they have for us? Guys, I get so irritated. just going through all this. And so she says, the Republicans will pull bull on election day and not have votes counted. Earlier, you have your vote in, the better you are. Do not mail it in now. It's too late to mail. Please go and drop off your ballots. Whatever. And both sides are going to claim blank theory. Both sides, because we've already have. And this is going to be a crazy election. As you guys know, we already have both sides saying we're not going to concede. It's going to get stupid. And then it says 50 Cent voting for Trump because he discovered he would pay more taxes under Biden administration. You called him out and said he is now your least favorite ex. I didn't even know you dated. Your back and forth with him on Twitter went viral, and he seems to have backtracked his support on Trump because you gotta bully people if they don't have the same opinion as you, because that's the America we live in now. Have you spoken to him about this? It made a lot of news. And then she says, yes, he called me 2 nights ago. We spoke for a while, about a half hour. I texted him and said, please, can you just call me about this? I don't want to do this publicly. I want to know if you were serious about supporting Trump. He called and said he isn't serious. He's screwing around on Twitter. He said he is supporting Joe Biden, and he gave me permission for me to tell all the women here on The View that and everybody in the media. Then I offered to pay his taxes, but I found out that it's illegal to pay somebody to vote for a different candidate. Then I found out that that's illegal. So I offered another form of payment, and we'll see if he takes up on that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Again, the double entendres. Here's the thing. I know she's a comedian, a lot of this for comedic effect and comedic styling. I get that. That's fine. I don't know. It's still, to me, it's just, this is gross. This is gross that she is bullying and putting a black man in a position where he can't have his own opinion on the internet. And then she goes around on the media circuits and speaks for him. How creepy does that come across, y'all? How creepy. So then it says, and then this is one of the women, I forget her name, but she says, well, tell Fiddy, they call him Fiddy. If he jokes about supporting Trump, he will want to wait till after the election because it ain't very funny right now, says the women of The View. Remember, The View that was created by Barbara Walters, who defended the P words back in the day. So they probably get paid by people that support the P words or getting money from the P words, or they know where their money's coming from. That's why so many of us don't trust to vote for Biden, and we don't trust to vote for anybody, and we look at Trump and we're like, he's not perfect, might not work, he may be a part of the P word association, but he's a wild card and everybody else is crap, let's try it. This is exactly why, guys. And that's not me saying I want him to win, and I'm not saying I don't want him to win. I'm saying this is why if he gets elected, this is how it happens when people don't understand how so many people could elect him because he's so awful. It's because so many people aren't looking deeper. You guys are literally just doing what you are told on a box. But also Republicans do that with Fox News too sometimes. I've had to call out some people I know that are Republicans at times who have had, incorrect information. So it goes on both sides, but right now it's the liberal left that seems to be really hell-bent on just destroying the whole country instead of let's build something better. Because we have issues and we need to fix them. And of course, it's always the elitist liberals that say all of us white people are horrible R words, and they tell us what we need to do, how we need to live, and they need to tell black people how to live specifically. Because, like Joe Biden said, like black people, black mothers, they don't know how to take care of their children. How on earth do you sleep at night saying stuff like that and no apology? And then how on earth do you be Kamala Harris and sleep at night knowing that that's who you get to work next to if you get elected? Good job, girl. And all the stuff she's done, guys, to put lots of people away in prison. Don't get me started. So then, Joy, my other favorite. I was in therapy and by the way, she starts talking about going into therapy, okay? That was the preface of this because I wasn't going to give you the whole clip. It says, because it's just long and boring. She says, I was in therapy for a long time. I'm not anymore, but I was there for a long time, and I'm curious, how specifically did therapy help you with your rage against Trump? I could use tips. This is the very next part that I want to go over with all of this. She says, I would walk into an airport to go to the first class lounge, check in, then go to Fox News section and start assaulting people. Sorry. I would go in and scream, you're an R word, and then run out and run back and say, do you want your daughter to have rights? Then I would run out. Then I would run in and scream, are you still an R word? I couldn't handle my level of outrage anymore. I wanted to learn how to, couldn't handle my outrage anymore. I wanted to learn how to talk to Trump supporters or have conversations in 2016. I wanted to be able to have a conversation, and I was being prevented from having a conversation because of my anger. And then I realized, yes, I have hate for Donald Trump, and I find him a white blank. But he's not the cause of my anger. And then she goes into her own personal issues, but I'm looking at this and I'm going, so you need to tell us all about how to not be the R word when and we're all privileged. When you, with your money and privilege, how many people do you think actually can go to the first class lounge? The fact that you can ship first class lounge. Most of us will never have a first class flight. And then she goes and just harasses people who are going a certain way that she doesn't agree with. And she starts insulting them and calling them R-word names. And then she goes and insults them about, your daughter to have rights that, that has to do with pro-life, pro-choice. And then about the R-word. And she says she had to go to therapy because she couldn't handle her rage for Donald Trump. So, girl, if that is your biggest issue in life you have to go to therapy over, looks like you're the R-word with the privilege, aren't you? When you talk down to Black people and African-American people. And 50 Cent is more of a toy that isn't really a human being, just something that's kind of there for your amusement when you want to. He's not a real person to you. It's just kind of funny to have him around. Just you being with him. That kind of situation. It's gross. I cannot believe somebody would be so mentally ill that Donald Trump, after all the things we've heard about how she treats Black people, that's the thing that sent you to therapy? And I'm not saying this because I'm super hardcore Donald Trump. I'm just showing what, to somebody who hates all these people, what the reality of this looks like. I'm just reading this and I'm just grossed out. Completely grossed out. Now, I want to go over one more thing. Now, here's the thing. When I say Trump isn't perfect, he lies to exaggeration. We know he does. And I call him out on stuff all the time. You got to remember, though, Trump's a businessman. He's in marketing, sales, advertising, real estate. He's always selling himself. And with real estate, everything is always bigger and better and amazing. It's these big exaggerations. That's where he comes from in the business world. I'm not saying it's correct because it ends up turning into lies when he exaggerates that far. But he's like, I'm the president. I've done more for all the Black people outside of Abraham. Like, I've done more for it. We've heard this and heard this. I'm not going to argue that because I don't know the details of that enough, but I want to go over some of the things that Trump has done to help Black people because you can't vote for Trump and be Black. He put an executive order on police reform. The left has been screaming we need to reform the police. And amen, I think we should. I've been saying for a long time we need to give them better training. We also need to give them different therapy and counseling for what they go through, PTSD. There's all kinds of stuff we need to do to help the police officers. I'm all about let's help everybody. Help the minorities, help the police officers, everybody come together and be more peaceful. That's how I like to do things. So it's that he set aside executive orders himself to retrain police officers. He wanted to do independent credentialing and proper training. He wants to have a misconduct database of officers who have done things they should not be doing to keep that in check, because we know sometimes that stuff just goes unreported. And he wants to work more with social services to help with mental health, hopelessness, and drug addiction, so it doesn't turn into a violent situation. It doesn't have to when people just genuinely need help. Orange Man's so bad. Then he created the opportunity zones, and these are tax breaks for investing in low-income areas. And it says Senator Tim Scott championed the inclusion of opportunity zones in the 2017 tax bill that Trump signed into law. Its provisions reward investments in impoverished areas by deferring taxes on the sale of stock and other holdings if the asset for those sales are invested in certain high-need geographical areas to help build up the area. Then it says we achieved the lowest Black, Hispanic, and Asian unemployment rate in American history. And they have done a huge overall wage increase for minorities and Blacks. Now, it's not nearly enough because there's still a huge wage gap divide. I'm the first one to tell you we have a lot of issues when it comes to financial and all types of inequalities in the United States with minorities, and that needs to be addressed and fixed. However, let's go into something else he did. He also passed legislation to try to encourage businesses to go ahead and hire minorities without degrees for better paying jobs. Where's Obama? Where's Obama on any of this? No? Okay, and guys, that's just a part of some of what he's done. Another one that I really like. Criminal justice reform measure helps free thousands from jails and prisons for non-violent offenses. Because as I've said, the prison systems need help because they're a form of modern day slavery. And I'm going to bring this up. I know that people have mocked and laughed at Kanye West. But Kanye West, I think, has a really big point. I'm going to pull up one more clip specifically from Kanye I want you guys to hear, and I want to talk about something before I do. He has been saying that the left ends up being R words because the left tells all the minorities how to vote. Like they're too stupid to be able to form an opinion to know who to vote for, which how disgraceful to come across to any group of people that way. Remember, not too long ago, they used to do it to women, and it's still being done to minorities. And people have mocked him and made fun of him, and people, I feel like, have purposefully taken him out of context many times. If you really sit and listen to what he's saying, you can infer the things he's saying is that he feels like Black people are in a mental slavery that the system has put them in, that they have to do things a certain way. And then you have Kim Kardashian. How mocked is this woman in general for the fact that she's beautiful, she's gorgeous, she's a very sexy woman. And I don't say that in any negativity or misogyny. I mean, of course she's beautiful. She models, she has successful businesses. And because of the modeling aspect she does on Instagram, because of some of the things she does, a lot of people kind of have this view of her as shallow and vapid. And this bad A.B., she went and she got her own law degree without going to school, and she is going around trying to free people who are wrongfully imprisoned, and even went to President Trump to get help with this and to talk about reform. That's his wife. And almost nobody brings it up. What an intelligent woman, and what a misunderstood person that she is married to. So I want to bring up what Kanye West has said so you can get that context for yourself. Let's take a look.
When I was sitting in front of white people and they thought, I wouldn't thought you would like Trump because of the So you mean to tell me I make every decision based off my color? The most thing a person could tell me is that I'm supposed to choose something based on my race.
Okay guys, I'm irritated. I think I'm gonna end this video here. If you like this video and wanna support me and you wanna see more content like this, please make sure and like up this video. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit notifications so you can be notified daily what's coming to the pipeline for you and your stimulus money or current event news like this. Also, leave a comment, as many as you can is so appreciated, and I want to hear all of your thoughts. And guys, please share this content with as many people as you know that are struggling right now, or people that need help, or you think people that this content could help, because I do lots of stimulus news, and hopefully I'll do more videos like this, and I would love to help as many people as possible. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, hit notifications, and share the content, the more the channel grows, the more the channel grows, the more things I can do back to give to you guys. That doesn't make sense. I dyslexed that whole thing. The more things I can do to give back to you guys, like a $100 gift card giveaway, very simple. This is all you have to do. Like our video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom. You're eligible, you're entered, that's it. Do it for every video you see because you'll have more opportunities to win gift cards. And also guys, make sure and leave as many comments as you possibly can. The more comments, the better, because you have more chances to win. Also, I'm on Facebook, add me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, join the group. The group is Katie's Corner, it'll be changed to Katie's Insight soon. Make sure and go in there and you can ask all the stimulus questions you want, share news. We're an awesome little community and we would love to just share and hang out with you. Okay guys, I'm gonna end this video here now. I'm so humbled every time I end these videos, especially when I do something new. I always get really nervous to try something, but this is something that weighed heavily on my heart because I don't think anybody should be told who they can and can't vote for. And I don't think we need to listen to any white woman or any person, period, with money that tries to tell you who you should or shouldn't vote for. Your vote and your right to democracy on that, and your right to weigh information and your intelligence that personally sits with you, that is yours, and nobody can take that away from you because that's what people fought for in this country. This country is not perfect, it's got a ton of issues, and it's unfair, and we need to fix things. I'm all for that, but I will always fight for your right to have your voice heard in the democracy that we have. So anybody who ever tries to tell you who you should vote for, especially based off your skin color, screw them. Your different opinions and different ideas, as long as they are not destructive or to other people, you know, as long as they're not hurtful to yourself or other people, are always welcome here. And you are welcome here no matter if you are a Trump supporter or you are a Biden supporter. Because at the end of the day, I think most people are voting in the way that they think is the best for them and the country. They're doing what they think is right, even if it might not necessarily be the right or best thing. I think most people are well intended, and I just want to present information to give you more info, to give you better insight into what's going on in the world, and to be able to better inform you when you make those decisions. And that's all I want to do. And I'm so blessed and I'm so humbled that you guys allow me to do that. Okay guys, video way too long. It's over an hour. Shut up me. All right, take care until next time. We'll see you soon. Mwah!